This is your left piriformis stretch that we're going to look at today. I'm starting sat on perhaps the edge of my bed or getting down onto the floor. We're going to log roll, we're going to plank, lean our body over onto our left side, bring our feet up, roll onto our backs and have the feet placed onto a wall or on the top of a chair. Your arms are down by the side of your body and they're pressing down actively into the floor that you're laying on. Take a breath in. When you breathe out, press your arms into the bench, press your feet into the wall and float your bottom up into the air. Inhale, raise the left leg up, crossing the left ankle over your right knee, thigh bone. As you breathe out, land your bottom, planking your spine back down onto the bench, and you begin to feel the stretch coming into this left piriformis buttock zone. We're going to breathe in and out here maybe 10 times, and you're going to notice that the foot on the wall keeps pushing, your pubic bone is aiming to drop down towards your tailbone onto the bench, and we might find that if we just rock the thigh bone towards the right side of your body, you intensify the stretch into this left buttock. Once you find the stretch, you take your breath in and you relax as you exhale, and then breathing in and breathing out. You might just lower your shin, bring that thigh bone a little bit more towards the right shoulder and intensify that stretch for a couple more breaths in and out. And last one. Breath in and out. Your left piriformis stretch. Brilliant. So our seated left piriformis stretch, you're going to perch your bottom on the very front edge of your chair, and I like to have my hands pushing down as I straighten both legs out in front of me. My legs are closed shut together. And I'm going to cross my left ankle on the top of my right ankle. And then I'm going to slide the left ankle up towards over the knee and then bring the underneath foot in towards the chair. My left hand cups underneath my left knee and my right hand holds around my ankle, and I just sit tall. I'm feeling both sit bones into the floor and I'm feeling that central axis heightening the spine through the crown of my head up to the ceiling. I breathe in. When I breathe out, I hinge my spine forwards into a left piriformis stretch. We're feeling it in this left hip. We want to ensure that we stay tall through the spine. What can sometimes happen is that as we lean forwards, gravity wins and we think that this is leaning forwards when that's actually rounding through the spine and squashing your stomach contents. We want to be staying in a flat back position and hinging our rectangle, shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip, flat back, leaning forwards. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We just keep the collarbones open, the shoulders down by dropping the elbows, weighting them down to the floor, growing out through the crown of the head, and then breathing out. Coming back to sitting tall before uncrossing. There was your left piriformis stretch, sat in your chair. So the side lying right hip flexor stretch starts sat up on the edge of your bed. You're going to then lean over, bringing the left hand underneath your skull if that's comfortable, so that your back is parallel with the bed behind you and your shins are parallel with the front edge of the bed. We're growing tall out through the crown of the head. We're going to lift the top knee towards your face and bring your hand to the front of your ankle. And as you exhale, we're going to pull that thigh behind you. And then it's going to come forwards as you inhale. So a series of breathing out, growing tall through the spine, pulling that thigh bone behind you, watching out that you're not rolling that top hip back. That top hip needs to stay leaning forwards. It's only the thigh that comes behind you. And then inhale, it can come forwards. You may round your back a little bit if you wish. And as you exhale and pull that thigh behind you, I want that feeling again of that pubic bone zipping up and lengthening out through the crown of your head whilst keeping your back nice and elongated. Breathing in here and breathing out. We're just going to hold a little bit longer. Your right foot doesn't need to come towards your bottom. It needs to push away from your bottom. Can you see how that affects my shoulder? I can keep my shoulder down and away from my ear as my shin pushes into my hand and my thigh then pulls behind. So I inhale to come forwards. Exhale, keep the scoopy forward pelvis, tall spine, shin pushing into your hand, opening the chest and shoulder. Breathe in, reach the knee away from your head. As you breathe out, coming through, last one. Inhale, exhale, stand tall through your spine, tilt the pelvis, scooping that pelvis underneath you, the thigh going behind you, just watching out that you haven't cheated a little bit and lifted up. Keep that knee in line with the hip bone, and then come on back. Well done. So this is your seated right hip stretch. I'm on a stool and I'm close to the right side edge of the stool, so it nearly feels like my right bottom's sliding off the edge. And I'm going to bring that right foot behind me onto the ball of the foot with the knee dropping towards the floor. We have to watch out in getting the leg behind you that your pelvis is not now facing towards the diagonal. The facing pelvis needs to be that your right knobbly hip bone is almost reaching a little bit towards the left knee. That's going to bring your pelvis around to be forward facing. We want to ensure again that you've got that pelvic tilt, that scoopy forward bottom, where the pubic bone just zips on up and the tailbone drops down, and we get to really feel a deep stretch through the front of that thigh. And we're going to breathe in and breathe out a few times here, really keeping that scoop, getting the length through the lower back here, feeling that stretch coming down through the thigh. This might want to happen, that knee might want to lift up. We want to drop it down towards the floor, keep that tilt in the pelvis, enjoy that feeling of growing tall through your spine, gently pressing your hands down onto your thigh, breathing in and breathing out, relaxing those shoulders. Last one, and breathing out. Well done. This is your right hip flexor stretch. Now, best setup might be in front of a windowsill, like here, so that you stand looking down at your feet, checking that your feet are hip width underneath your knobbly hip bones and parallel, toes facing towards the wall, fingertips resting on this surface, as you then place your right foot up on a chair behind you. And the point of this stretch is to access the lengthening of the front muscles of this right thigh. So when the foot goes behind you, if your pelvis goes into a sticky outy bottom and an archy banana back, you're not going to get it in the right place. So we want to make sure that once your foot's on the chair and you're facing forward to your windowsill, if you bend the standing leg slightly, you'll be able to reverse the pelvis into what we call a scoopy forward bottom, where we're zipping from your pubic bone up behind your navel, up towards your nose, in order to keep that pelvis in the most neutral position. We're allowing the tailbone to feel like it's dropping down towards the floor. We can breathe in as you bend and breathe out as you stand. Inhale and exhale. Exaggerate the tilt of the pelvis. I like to think of the braces attachment point lifting up as you bend and straighten. And 10 times, magic number 10. Keeping that height in your spine as you bend and straighten, feeling that stretch through the front of the hip. The beauty of your windowsill is that you keep your pelvis parallel with the windowsill. We're not opening out and going around the bend. We're keeping parallel, scooped, down and up 10 times. There's your right hip stretch. Enjoy. So if you can take hold of your green squishy ball, it's inflated, but there's a bit of give in it, so you can have a good squeeze. We're going to place that on top of your pubic bone in your neutral pelvis position. So we want to make sure that you're not in a scoopy forward bottom position, you're not in a sticky outy bottom banana back position, you're somewhere in the middle there of neither up nor down, you're right smack in the middle. I'm going to place the green ball on my pubic bone and I then interlink my fingers together. I then keep them connected but feel that pull action. This engages those armpit muscles again. And I retain a lifted elbow position. Don't drop them down here, let's keep them up. And you're going to breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, your chest will sink, your feet will stand, and your hands press down on top of the ball. As that action happens, you may start to feel that your abdominal muscles will draw together towards the center of your spine. And then when you breathe in, you relax everything. So on our next out breath again, with a tall spine, your shoulders to hips, your hands press onto the ball. You can close through those pelvic floor muscles, feeling the tummy drawing towards your spine with your chest and your ribs sinking, squeezing every last drop of air out. And then you breathe in and relax. As you're breathing out, chest sinking, feet pushing, fingers pulling, balls squashing, pelvic floor toning and abdominals sinking. Breathe in, release. And repeat. Breathe out. Chest sinking, hands pulling, balls squashing, pubic bone keeping that tailbone down, feeling the pelvic floor and tummy muscles, breathing all of the air out. And then inhaling, release. And last one, exhale. Hands pull, balls squeeze, ribs sink, pelvic floor toning, and then releasing. That's the ball squeeze with your breathing. So I've still got my green squishy ball. I've done my breathing out and my tummy connection, but I'm going to add some leg action now. We've got a combination of either some legs sliding and returning. We've got some knee drops, opening the thigh bone away from the center of the body. And then we're going to have a combination of drop, slide and return. We're going to keep the ball because we want that to activate our breathing and our core connection and to keep our pelvis nice and steady so that then the leg moves independently. So the same finger hold position where your fingers are interlinked and pulling. We take a breath in. As you breathe out, your chest softens, your hands squeeze onto the ball and you slide one leg flat without disturbing the spine. You breathe in and the knee bends back in. As you breathe out, the other leg slides flat. As you breathe in, it comes back in. As you breathe out, you slide the leg away. You drag the leg back in. As you're breathing out, slide the last leg away and drag it back in. You're feeling the surface that your leg is on. This works your hamstrings. We're going to open the knee to the side as you inhale and exhale to close back the thigh. We inhale to open, and watch out, that might want to happen. Your pelvis might want to lift off. We need to keep that buttock anchored into the bench, the floor that you're lying on. So your knee only goes as far as you can keep your pelvis steady and then returning. As you inhale, we open the thigh. As you exhale, we close the thigh. Then we're going to join them all together. Inhale, open the thigh to the side. Exhale, slide the leg away. Turn the thigh bone parallel. Inhale. Exhale, drag the heel to bring the leg back in. Other leg. Inhale, open the thigh to the side. You're on the little toe side of your foot. Exhale, slide the leg away from you. Turn the leg bone parallel as you inhale. And exhale, drag the heel, keeping that pelvis steady as you like. One more each side. Inhale to open the leg to the side. Keep that pelvis rock solid. Exhale, slide the leg straight. Inhale, turn the thigh bone parallel. And exhale, drag the heel along the floor to come back in. Final side. Inhale, open that bent knee, keeping that pelvis anchored. Exhale, reach the leg straight. Turn the thigh bone parallel. And final exhale, drag that heel all the way back to your start position. We can now lose the ball because you're really now very professional at keeping that pelvis nice and steady, and bring our arms down by the side of the body, and we're going to do an opposite arm and leg slide. So I lift my right arm and slide my leg flat as I inhale, and exhale, draw everything back to the center. I then repeat the other side. Inhale, slide the leg and reach the arm overhead, and exhale, coming back to your start position. When you inhale and lift the arm and reach the leg away, be sure to avoid arching in your back. You're needing to lean your ribs down into the floor, and your exhale helps your tummy muscles to do that as you bring the arm and leg back together. So lean your ribs and your body and your standing foot and your standing arm into the floor as you inhale. As you exhale, drag the foot, float the arm back up and over. Final one. Inhale, reaching over. My rectangle is steady and leaning back into the floor. Exhale, from my armpit and the heel, I drag and lift everything back to the center. Final one. Inhale, reaching away, leaning the back of your kidneys into the floor. Exhale, feel the abdominals working as you bring your arm and leg back to your start position. Well done. So we're now laying on your back with your feet hip width distance apart and parallel. And we're going to raise your arms up so your fingertips point up towards the ceiling. When you breathe in, your shoulders will lift off of the mat, the floor, and when you breathe out, they'll drop back down. So I'm feeling my shoulder blades move around the ribs and drop back down. I'm feeling the outer edge of my collarbones lifting up and then dropping them back down. I'm breathing in to the back of my ribs as my shoulder blades slide around, and then breathe out, dropping the breastbone, and breathing in and breathing out. If I stand both of my feet down into the bench, I can feel the core muscles waking up. And I feel my head lengthening away from my tail at the same time as my feet push down. Last breath in and breath out. We then lower your arms down And you can have your palms facing up towards the ceiling. This retains the openness across the collarbone. When you breathe in, your shoulders are going to shrug towards the head end of your body. When you breathe out, we're going to slide the back of the arms, reaching your fingertips towards your feet, end of the body. Breathing in to lift, breathing out to lower, breathing in and breathing out. I'm connecting the back of my shoulder blades down towards my hips so that I breathe in and I shrug up. As I breathe out, my armpits draw down towards my hips, keeping my pelvis nice and steady as I shrug up and slide down. Final one. Inhale and exhale. Connecting your shoulders to your hips. So we're going to come onto our 4-point kneeling now. Transition movements can often be the most challenging part of doing any of your home exercise, so do take care. I've got my knees glued shut together. I'm going to slide my bottom away from the direction that I'm going to roll to. So I'm sliding my bottom towards the right hand side of the bench. I then log roll. So my right arm is going to come on over to help roll me in one piece onto the side of my body, ensuring that I keep those knees together. I'm then going to come onto my forearms and I'm going to endeavour to keep this rectangle flipping over in one fell swoop into this position. So one setup version is in forearm position. So you can see my elbows are beneath my shoulders, my forearms are flat, and I'm just going to bring my knees and shins into the hip width apart position. Gravity, of course, is a little bit of a challenge here. It wants to make me drop through my ribs and drop through my head and neck. So I need to push into the forearms and into the base of my throat to come into this plank-aligned spine, and with a sense of the crown of my head reaching away from my tail. I'm not letting it drop to the bench. I'm keeping my head away from my tail. And we rock backwards and forwards. And as we rock backwards and forwards, we're wanting to imagine that we've got 3 points of contact with an imaginary foam roller. So my back of my head, my bra strap and my pelvis are staying in line with a broom handle that's resting on the top of my spine. Forwards and backwards. There may be another option if that's not feeling comfortable for you in your back pain. We can bring your hands directly beneath your shoulder joints and we can sway backwards and forwards. What tends to happen is as we sit backwards, sometimes the pelvis does this and it goes into a scoopy forward cat stretch position. We don't want that to happen. We want to keep the tail or your sit bones with headlights looking directly behind you and then forwards. In this forwards position, our ribs can want to drop to the floor. We need to keep them closed so that you're keeping your front ribs connecting into your back ribs. Equally, the head is very tempted to fall into what I call my guillotine bucket, and we don't want that. We want the back of the scruff of your head and neck staying on the peg so that your head is on your peg and your spine is nicely lengthened as you hinge forwards and backwards. We come to a center position. We can rock from side to side. I'm leaning my shoulder and my hip to the side. If I'm not, I can end up doing a little bit of a tail wag. And we don't actually want a tail wag right now. We want to lean into the right shoulder and the right shin. Lean into the left shoulder and the left shin. Keeping height in the spine with your breath, coordinating at a pace that's comfortable for you so that your rectangle remains parallel with the bench. And then we come back into the centre. Now, if you're on your bed, you'll then just be able to bring both knees towards each other and sit round onto your bottom and swing your shins down, using your arms to push you forwards. And then in a second, we're going to go through coming from sit to stand. So we're sat on the edge of your bed, or perhaps on the edge of your seat. We want to get to standing. We're going to work with the rectangle that we've just got connected to through our exercises, and we're going to learn about our leg tracking, so our feet are hip width apart and parallel. This rectangle shape needs to be able to hinge forwards without rolling down and collapsing. So you might find that you've been very bad at getting out of your chair, and you roll to here and you push and then you walk your hands up your body. This is giving your back no help at all. So we want to keep that rectangle nice and elongated as we hinge forwards and come back the way. It's what you were doing on your swing boat. So with my arms down by my side, I can hinge and then return. I hinge and my knees are coming quite close towards my toes and coming back. My head is the heaviest part of my body. I need to get my bowling ball head over my feet before I straighten my legs. So this time we are going to stand up. We're going to breathe in to get your head over your feet, and then exhale to stand straight through your legs. We can then reach the sit bones behind you. You know the seat's there, you just got to trust it. And then coming back to your rectangle posture. So I inhale to hinge. My arms, my head is over my feet. I exhale as I push through my legs. I inhale and reach my sit bones, those eyes of my sit bones behind me. And then sitting tall. Last one. Inhale, hinge forwards. Exhale, ribs and connecting your core together as you come to stand. Linking it all together. Well done. So you're going to find yourself a door, preferably with two secure safe handles either side, and we're going to set up with an underhand grip if you've got handles like such, or just holding around the doorknobs. Again, just be sure that they're definitely not going anywhere. Your feet are going to be parallel with the door, in line with your nose and your pivot bone. With that underneath hand grip, we then lean our body back. You might wish to check your shoulders aren't shrugged up by your ears, but that they're nicely slid down towards your back. We're going to sit down as you inhale. As you exhale, closing those ribs and straightening the knees, keeping the elbows long. So I inhale to sink. Exhale, glute squeeze, heels push to stand. Inhale to sink. And exhale, ribs close, feet pushing. I'm still hanging off the door, trusting that it will hold my weight. Inhale to sink. And exhale to stand. So that's in parallel. We're then going to do a sacral squat, and I lift my right foot off, then my left foot off, so that my toes point towards the door and my heels are now apart, with my thigh bones rolling inwards. They're turning inwards like the splines within this door handle. So I have straight arms and I'm leaning back again. This time when I bend down, my knees will stop each other from going any closer because they're together, and then I'll sink down and then they'll come apart as I stand. So when I breathe in, I can feel the width and space being created in the lower back from my armpits connecting to the opposite hip as I inhale with an nice tall spine, exhale, pressing down through the feet to come to standing. Last one, Inhaling to drop and exhaling to stand. And pull yourself forwards. There's your door squat and your sacral squat. So, above bones, standing heel wall push. You've got your bottom, your bra strap, perhaps your head resting against the wall. Your feet are in front of the skirting, so they're not right back here, they're going to be out in front of you. Then you're going to bring your right foot up onto the wall behind you with your arms down by the side of your body. As you breathe out, you push that foot back into the wall, engaging the hamstring and the glutes, keeping your pubic bone lifted and that tall spine. And then when you lean back, we want the pelvis, the bra strap and the head to all land back on the wall at the same time. What's quite common here is that your upper body wants to move away first before you open through the hip. And when you come back in, your bottom wants to land, then your bra strap and your head want to go back. But we want to see if your whole rectangle, shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip, can breathe out and then push away from the wall. Pause, breathe in. And then breathe out, connect the rectangle, and then land it, head, bra strap, and pelvis all at the same time back on the wall. Good luck. See if you can do 8 on your right leg if you've got a left pelvic torsion to get stronger, and bias the opposite way if you have a right pelvic torsion. Good luck. So the next little top tip is about what happens with your pelvis when we're walking. As you're walking along, we get this helical type pattern where these elephant's ear bones, the ilium, and this triangle bone, the sacrum, work as one, hopefully, in a really nice pattern of slightly tail wagging, slightly wheeling through the pelvis. And when we've had this experience of a twist, a pelvic torsion, the pelvis will want to stay in its stuck posture. Once you've done your exercises that we've just gone through to neutralise and to stabilise, we want to give you as much relief as possible when coming up to standing. So we bring your hands across the top edge of the elephant's ear bone, the ilium, and we can bring your fingertips pointing down to the top of that triangular bone, that sacrum. And I'm pushing the thumb and the top of my hand down into the pelvic bones. And as I do that, I'm thinking of that shoulder shrug down that we just did, laying on the mat. So that my shoulders are shrugging down at the same time as my hands pushing into my pelvis, really giving some height into this lumbar spine. And then I get that walking action where I then start to really sense where my fingers are touching into those pelvic half bones, the elephant's ears. We can get a sense of them giving us that helical pattern and being able to just rock and roll as we walk around the room. Thinking about that height in the spine, maybe wobbled over there. Enjoy.